The 1st century AD witnessed the rise of Christianity, but it was also a time when magic and sorcery held sway. Among the enigmatic figures of this era, Simon Magus stands out. Hailing from Samaria, Simon was known for his magical prowess, captivating audiences with his extraordinary feats. The early Christian texts, while condemning his sorcery, provide glimpses into his life and the challenges he posed to the burgeoning Christian movement. Simon Magus, often referred to as Simon the Sorcerer, emerges from the mists of time as a figure shrouded in mystery and controversy. Our primary sources for understanding Simon come from the canonical Acts of the Apostles and the writings of early church fathers, who often viewed him through the lens of heresy. The Acts of the Apostles introduce him as a sorcerer who had amazed the people of Samaria, proclaiming himself to be someone great. He had gained a significant following, and many regarded him as the power of God that is called great. However, Simon's life takes a dramatic turn with the arrival of Philip the Evangelist in Samaria. Philip's arrival in Samaria heralded a new era, one marked by the message of Jesus Christ. People flocked to hear Philip preach and witness the miraculous signs that accompanied his ministry. Even Simon, the renowned sorcerer, found himself drawn to Philip's message. The Acts of the Apostles describe how Simon himself believed and was baptized. This conversion, however, would prove to be a source of significant controversy. Did he genuinely embrace the teachings of Christ, or was his conversion a calculated attempt to incorporate Christian miracles into his repertoire of magical feats? The arrival of the apostles Peter and John in Samaria to lay hands on the newly baptized believers set the stage for a confrontation between Simon and the apostles. Simon's offer to buy the power of the Holy Spirit revealed a fundamental misunderstanding of the Christian message. Peter's rebuke exposed the incompatibility of Simon's magical worldview with the teachings of Jesus. It highlighted the sacredness of the Holy Spirit as a gift bestowed by God's grace, not something that could be bought or sold. This clash with Peter had a profound impact on Simon's story. While the Acts of the Apostles do not provide details about his ultimate fate, it is clear that this encounter marked a significant turning point. Simon's attempt to purchase spiritual power and his subsequent rebuke by Peter cast a long shadow over his legacy. The term simony, derived from this incident, became synonymous with the buying or selling of ecclesiastical privileges, a practice strictly forbidden by the Church. The story of Simon Magus did not end with his rebuke by Peter. He continued to be a figure of fascination and controversy. His story passed down through oral traditions and later recorded by early Christian writers. Two prominent figures who wrote about Simon were Irenaeus, Bishop of Lyon in the late 2nd century, and Justin Martyr, an early Christian apologist. Irenaeus, in his work against heresies, identified Simon Magus as the originator of all heresies. Justin Martyr, in his first apology and dialogue with Trypho, provided further details about Simon's life and teachings. These early accounts, though often hostile, offer valuable insights into how Simon was perceived by the early church. The passage of time did little to diminish the legend of Simon Magus. Instead, his story became embellished with mythical elements, transforming him into a figure of immense magical power. He was said to possess a vast arsenal of supernatural abilities, capable of feats that defied explanation. Among the most persistent myths surrounding Simon was his ability to levitate. Accounts described him soaring through the air, defying gravity with ease. In addition to levitation, Simon was also credited with the ability to shapeshift. Legends spoke of him transforming into different animals, appearing and disappearing at will. These mythical abilities, while likely exaggerated, highlight the enduring fascination with Simon Magus. Central to the mythology surrounding Simon Magus is the figure of Helen, a woman he claimed to have redeemed from prostitution. Simon proclaimed Helen to be the embodiment of divine wisdom, a Gnostic counterpart to the Virgin Mary in Christian tradition. Their relationship, however, was far from conventional and became a source of scandal and controversy. According to Simon's teachings, Helen was a fallen angel, trapped in the material world. He claimed to have descended from heaven to rescue her, freeing her from her earthly bonds. Together, they embarked on a mission to liberate humanity from the shackles of ignorance and lead them to true enlightenment. This concept of a female consort accompanying a divine figure was not uncommon in Gnostic thought. The story of Simon and Helen became a popular theme in early Christian art and literature. The accounts of Simon Magus's death are as varied and colorful as the man himself. One of the most enduring legends surrounding Simon's death involves a public display of his levitating powers in Rome. According to this account, Simon, in a bid to prove his divine status, attempted to ascend to heaven in front of a large crowd, with Emperor Nero himself said to be among the spectators. As Simon soared through the air, the apostles Peter and Paul, present at the spectacle, knelt in prayer, beseeching God to intervene. Their prayers, according to the legend, were answered. Simon's ascent was abruptly halted, and he plummeted to the ground, meeting a gruesome end. Simon Magus's legacy extends beyond the canonical texts and apocryphal tales. He features prominently in pseudo-Clementine literature, a collection of pseudepigraphal writings attributed to Clement of Rome, a prominent figure in early Christianity. These texts offer a unique perspective on Simon, portraying him as the arch-enemy of Peter and a persistent threat to the early church. In the pseudo-Clementine literature, Simon is depicted as a skilled debater and magician, engaging in theological disputes with Peter throughout the narrative. He is portrayed as the embodiment of heresy, his teachings a distortion of Christian doctrine. The texts aim to refute his claims and uphold the authority of Peter and the early church. Despite their obvious bias, the pseudo-Clementine writings offer a glimpse into the enduring legacy of Simon Magus. He remained a figure of fascination and controversy long after his death. The question of whether Simon Magus can be considered the founder of Gnosticism is a subject of ongoing debate among scholars. While some early Christian writers such as Irenaeus attributed the origins of Gnostic thought to Simon, others argue that Gnosticism was a more complex and multifaceted movement with roots in various philosophical and religious traditions. Those who view Simon as a proto-Gnostic point to his teachings about Helen as the embodiment of divine wisdom, his belief in a fallen Sophia, wisdom, and his emphasis on gnosis knowledge as the path to salvation. However, critics of this view argue that attributing the origins of Gnosticism solely to Simon is an oversimplification. They point out that Gnosticism encompasses a wide range of beliefs and practices, and it is unlikely that a single individual could be solely responsible for its development. While Simon's precise role in the development of Gnosticism remains a subject of scholarly debate, his story highlights the diversity of thought and belief present in the early centuries of Christianity. Despite his condemnation as a heretic, Simon Magus had an undeniable impact on the development of early Christian doctrine. His story, as preserved in both canonical and non-canonical texts, served as a catalyst for theological reflection and a warning against the dangers of false teachings. The incident involving Simon's attempt to purchase the Holy Spirit, from which the term simony is derived, had a lasting impact on the Church's stance on the sanctity of spiritual gifts. It reinforced the understanding that the Holy Spirit is a free gift of God's grace, not something that can be bought or earned. Furthermore, Simon's teachings, particularly his claims about Helen and his emphasis on gnosis, forced the early church to confront and clarify its own doctrines regarding the nature of God, the role of Jesus Christ, and the path to salvation. In many ways, Simon's challenges contributed to the crystallization of Orthodox Christian belief. Simon Magus remains an enigmatic and controversial figure in the history of early Christianity. His story, a blend of historical accounts, theological polemics, and mythical embellishments, continues to fascinate and intrigue scholars to this day. While his attempt to purchase the Holy Spirit earned him condemnation as a symbol of simony, his teachings and alleged magical powers ensured his enduring legacy. Whether viewed as a proto-Gnostic, a skilled magician, or a cunning charlatan, Simon Magus left an undeniable mark on the early church. His story served as a cautionary tale, warning against the dangers of seeking spiritual power for personal gain and the importance of discerning true faith from false teachings. In the end, Simon Magus stands as a shadowy figure, his true nature elusive. his motivations complex.